What's up, family? So on my Twitter, I said something that it seemed like a lot of my friends related to, something that people responded to. I can't exactly remember the exact verbiage, and I can't look at it because I'm using my phone to record this. The essence of it was that as humans, we have the liberty to start over as many times as possible, not just, in life, like not being we don't have to think that big. We don't have to think that dramatic. We can literally segment it into little pieces of our lives and say that we have the ability to start over whenever we want when it comes to our small businesses, when it comes to that book that we're working on, when it comes to um, that specific project that we're working on, or like take it completely out of the realms of work in general. When it comes to like that focus of developing your friend group, or focusing on building your relationships or whatever, we have the capability to start over whenever we want. We can always say that, this relationship, this person doesn't suit me, so forget it. I'm gonna start over with somebody else. We can always say that, like a renewed mindset of like, all right, today I'm gonna focus on rebuilding and repairing my best friend relationships. You know what I mean? We always have that liberty, but we got to be careful not to abuse it. That was how I ended the tweet, but don't abuse it. When we abuse that ability, and we're consistently um starting over things, we don't really allow ourselves to get into the rhythm of whatever we're creating. We don't allow ourselves to develop that rhythm. If we keep starting over, we never develop momentum. You never really get into the flow of whatever you're trying to create. What a lot of people don't know is that when I tweeted that, I was basically responding to things that I looked at because I do a lot of, I'm a very analytical person. So when it comes to my own things, I have to look at data in order to decide what's going to be the next move, or in order to decide where to put my focus, if you will. I did that. And what I saw is like a pattern in a lot of the projects that I've done. So when it comes to radio, that's something that's just consistent because it's a job, for lack of better words. I look at it as more than a job in terms of like, um, it's entertainment, it's service. It is different. It's a different job, if you will, but it is a job. It is somewhere that it's expecting me to perform a specific duty, which is in this case talking on the radio for X amount of time, and they pay me for that, and blah blah blah. It's not really it's stability. It is stability in a very unstable industry. It is stability. But a lot of the projects and things that I do and have done, which include writing the book, The Man Who Didn't Stop Running, all four of them, which includes The Citizens, the entertainment and media group that I run. A lot of that stuff is sandbox. I won't say you're on your own, because I definitely have people that support the various visions that I've mentioned. But in terms of, you know, that consistency, that structure that says, maybe you shouldn't start over this thing. Maybe you shouldn't start this thing over, I should say. Maybe you should actually tough it out, get into the rhythm of whatever, and develop whatever you're trying to develop. And starting over will actually stunt your growth. So when I looked at the data of that, I went back 5 years, and just the data of all the things that I've done. It's like things besides radio and kind of writing, I started over way too soon, and for me it's tough, and you may relate to this too as a creative. For me it's tough because I enjoy creating. I enjoy the artistry of branding. I enjoy developing voices and creating atmospheres that go alongside, like, whatever these brands are trying to do. I love it. So I always love the starting over, which is part of why what we do with the Citizens is based heavily on brand development. Is because that's what I enjoy. I love it. And I'm more specifically, I love um creating brands, if you will. So being a part of the first phase of branding. And so what I saw is that I have abused the ability, the freedom to start over. I've abused it and stunted my growth with certain projects because I started over too quick. I knew that I could. I knew that I would enjoy that process, and I never really allowed things to get into the rhythm. And it's interesting because so for the radio show, I've been trying, like everyone knows radio is in a weird spot right now. And if you don't know, then now you know. And I've known that for a minute. And it's been a challenge to try to figure out not necessarily what the next phase of radio is, but how do we phase ourselves into what's happening now in media? It's interesting because I've developed a couple of different lifestyle brands to kind of answer that call. So where I would get on the radio and talk about, what's going on, what's the latest in world news and local news and sports news and lifestyle media, like things that I'm actually into. Instead of getting on the radio doing that, I've always had this vision of just doing that, 10xing that, if you will, on a social platform. Not even really focused on just radio, but bigger than that, if you will. And when I went back 5 years ago, I was trying to do the same thing, just under a different brand or multiple brands at this point. And it was the same pattern. It was that, okay, let's start. As much as Instagram causes anxiety in me, I love it for whatever reason. I just love like the scrolling. I love the actual presentation of Instagram itself. Always have, and I loved it, especially when it was just a picture app back, some years. But it's a love-hate relationship. Instagram is a friend of me, but I'm always trying to tap into it. Right? We've had the Citizens since 2017, and well, we've always been trying to launch something called Citizen 6. Now it's launched now, and it's not even really a lifestyle brand anymore. It's literally just a place for us to publish our press releases, our media, and anybody that we want to feature that's kind of like doing some of the things that we're into, and we want to share some of the good things that they're doing. It started as a lifestyle media page. It was something that I was trying to create that would answer the call, scratch the itch that I was trying to do on the radio, And, it was the same pattern. Start the page, post what you think works, get the people involved that want to be involved, and post, whatever you can from there. And then, yeah, just see how it works. Guess what will happen? It would fizzle out. I would fizzle out. I would lose interest. I would not stick it out. I would not see it through, if you will. And then I would start over under a new brand, under a new title, and it'd be the exact same process. I would try to build this page that would kind of work alongside what I do on the radio. Even when I listen back to me on the radio over the years, I'm always leading people to different Instagrams, to different Twitter pages, to different Facebooks, and and it's no consistency. And recently I said, yo, we're not starting over, period. Like we're gung-ho, focusing on just doubling down on what we think works. That's enough. That's a key. That's a nugget. What you've studied for, what you've worked for, the experience that you've developed, it wasn't for no reason. You have that knowledge, you have that education, you have that experience for a reason. You just have to commit to it and rely on it and develop confidence in it and use that confidence to weather the storm of the slow moving sea sometimes. Nothing happens overnight, and human nature is for us to just think that we could go from point A to point Z in one step. Without that extra kick, without that extra like oomph that I was just talking about recently that I've used to develop this page that I'm gonna mention in a second, without that extra kick and focus on I'm gonna stick it out, I'm gonna see it through. A lot of times we fall victim to ourselves and we hinder our growth, we stun our growth, and we spend 5 and 6 years starting over something that if we just would have put a solid 6 months into, would have been a success. But beyond our initial goals, like we could have surpassed those goals if we just stuck it out. So with this Instagram page, right, that I said this year, nope, I'm not starting over. I'm focusing on it. Going into the second week of May, I want to say we had like maybe 600 followers. And I wrote on my board, I said, no, we're getting this page to 1,000 because I was getting ready. I was getting ready to wipe it, start fresh, create a whole new brand and da da da. Let's see if this works this time. And I said, no, 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 no. We're gonna stick it out. We're gonna force ourselves to really build this thing up and then see what happens. Set the goal for 1,000 followers. That was what, maybe 3 weeks ago, or I guess a month ago at this point. And we hit that. We hit that this week. And I can honestly say that it was the first time in a while that I really felt like, wow, we did something and something we're doing is working. And I looked back at all of the reels that we've posted, all of the different posts in general, and I just said, yo, like what would have happened if we would have quit here? Like this post that connected with so many people never would have been posted. Never would have been posted. It because we would have quit. You see what I'm saying? But because that post happened, it connected with 20 people, it related to 20 people and added 20 people to our community, if you will. Then another post popped up, like, wow, this post did really well. This is also past that middle May threshold where I was like, yo, I'm about to start over. That post wouldn't have happened. And it maybe netted us maybe 15 people, but those numbers add up. The momentum builds up, but we never stack the momentum if we quit. We don't get into the rhythm of things if we just keep quitting. Yes, you have the freedom to start over in this human experience. You can do it as many times as you want. We do have the ability, the freedom to start over as many times as we want, but we won't develop that rhythm. We won't get into the flow of things if we keep quitting, period. So, what am I saying? Well, number one, I'm trying to get something off my chest. Number two, the human experience. Now, I'm only 33. I'll be 34 in a couple of months. The human experience, in my estimation, is solely based on patience. It's based on development. Um, it's based on self-awareness and the ability to have pivotal conversations with yourself. No outside voices, no, extra eyes or anybody you trying to please. Literally just a soul to soul conversation with the soul in the mirror. That's kind of how it felt when I stopped and just looked and was like, yo, we have to stop quitting things. We have to stop throwing in the towel. We have to stop saying, I'm going to start over. I'm going to just, go back to the drawing board. Nah, sometimes you don't need to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes you need to just grind. You need to just work it out, you know? And in my case, like I really focused on studying my craft. I love it. Like I love to read. Um, I went to 8 years worth of school for media and public relations. I started in media and entertainment at a very young age. And, I've been very adamant about keeping track of everything that I've done, all the lessons that I've learned for this reason specifically, just the whole goal is to take all of that wisdom, if you will, which I use loosely, but take all of that experience, all of that knowledge, all of that education, and use that to progress the decision making time. Use that to progress our response time to life around us, to the arenas that our ideas thrive in. That's the whole goal. In essence, everything that you've learned, everything that you've experienced, everything that you've been intentional about developing that experience for, it's prepared you to become a better decision maker. It's prepared you to trust your first mind. It's prepared you to have a quick response to whatever comes up and to just trust sometimes the slow beginnings that a lot of great things have, and to continue to develop, to continue to get to the plate so that you can start knocking those homers out with whatever you're trying to create. Take everything that you've learned and just use that to tell yourself that you know what you're doing. It's literally that simple. If it's something that, there are some things that I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was kind of stupid. That ain't gonna work. Like trying to bring everybody into me and my brothers like video game fantasy world. We create all these sports players and sports stories. It's kind of how we, will I stream it? Yeah, definitely. I would stream it a lot of times because it's just fun to stream. But trying to develop a brand around that, that's yeah, that felt like trying to walk through a wall. Some of the other things that I kept starting over, like I mentioned, that one particular page, we set the goal, we hit the goal. Now we have another goal. I'm not quitting until I hit that next goal. It was just all about not quitting in the first place to get to the first goal, if that makes sense. So I just had to get that off my chest. That's why, yeah, I just had to do that.